Alright, Jair, so I know you and your wife are the main characters for your wedding, but I think it's really important that everybody knows what it was like for me. In all seriousness, I was so excited to visit Ohio, which is a sentence that no one has ever said before. I was so excited to see my friends, most of whom I have not seen in over a year. Jair, I hadn't seen you in over a year, and yet it went by so fast. We started in the Denver airport, and my flight had a Blue Jay on it. Look at him. Look at him. Magnificent. Now, I need to explain something important. Your wedding was in Central Ohio, but the day before I was in a wedding in Northwest Ohio. So when I was booking my flight, it seemed obvious to me that I ought to book a flight at an airport that was closer to the north side. Now, there are 3 major cities in Ohio that have names starting with a C: Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. Picking Cleveland would have been a good option, as it would have put me within an hour of the first wedding. Columbus would have also been good because that would have been closer to your wedding and getting home would have been easier. The only one of these 3 that isn't a smart choice is Cincinnati. But it's not like I have no concept of where any of these cities are located and I was just basically picking at random. That's definitely not what I was doing. So I landed in Cincinnati at 1 a.m. and my ever-gracious friend agreed me to pick me up there anyway. Thanks, Esther. You're a real one. I arrived at the Verbo booked for the wedding party the following afternoon, and I got to see people. Like, a bunch of people from school. I didn't even know I missed these people this much. And then later, we all showed up for the wedding rehearsal. Now, I was aware that I was reading scripture for the ceremony. However, I was informed during the rehearsal that I was also going to be the ring bearer. They left me in charge of the rings. I'm low-key freaking out. 3rd string flower girl and the reception MC. So, like, a lot of responsibility. Now, I want to state for the record that apparently people were talking about me. For instance, both sets of the parents knew I had mistakenly flown into Cincinnati, and the pastor was worried I was going to make a joke out of the scripture reading. Like, what was he told about me that made him think that was ever going to happen? I'm still deeply concerned about that. And then the day of the wedding arrives. We got there early. I saw this bird. And then I had to make sure their rings were protected. The pastor explained to me that the ring bearer doesn't usually have the actual rings because they're not usually, quote, as capable of an age as I am. I will say, I did accidentally throw the bag with the rings on the ground, and then I later dropped the bride's ring on the ground right before entering the chapel. I mean, I don't mean to brag, but I'm really good at ring management. The wedding was great, and I'm so happy for Ashley and Sam. The reception was also great, and because I had the privilege of dismissing tables for the dinner line, I also had the privilege of saying no to some elderly guests that I didn't know who wanted to go up early. And of course, this is a Baptist church. There's legit no dancing allowed at the reception so long as it's in the church building. However, the couple did rent out another venue, as the bride called it, a secondary location.
Shut up, you're all gonna die. Street smart.
And luckily, I did not find a kidnapping scenario at the secondary location. There was actually a whole herd of cows, and I got to tell them my favorite joke.
You guys not hear? Have you heard the moth joke before? So, a moth walks into a podiatrist's office. You know what a podiatrist is, right? It's a foot doctor.
After a short night of dancing, reconnecting, and being happy for the couple and for one another, we all returned home. I got to the Verbo and considered the fact that my trip was already halfway over. Esther drove me to your wedding the following morning. Everybody say thank you, Esther.
Hi.
Jair, it was so good to see you again, and it was a pleasure to see you get married to Corinna.
With this ring, I marry you.
And join my life with yours.
And join my life with yours.
I remember you telling me all about your consideration of even asking her out on a date. Actually, it seemed you and me were both in a similar spot around the same time. I think we both shot our shots with different girls during the same couple of days, and I'm glad that your shot worked out.
Jair, you may kiss your bride.
Now, my favorite part of the wedding has to have been when y'all chose to dismiss tables by using the wheel of random chance. And I'm still upset I didn't get to go first. I was so close.
No!
The dancing was great, though I didn't participate because my knees still hurt from Cotton Eye Joe the night before, and also because I'm scared of dance circles. But the amount of joy I got from watching you and your friends dance to your favorite songs, some of which you helped write, was incredible. Also, side note, a year ago, you showed me this video that your mother-in-law made, and it's my favorite video on my phone. In fact, I made a point of telling her that during the wedding. That's how important it was to me, and it's important to me that I now share this video with everybody. I present to you the funniest video on my phone, courtesy of Jair's mother-in-law. But then the wedding ends. I get picked up by another friend and I leave. And I was sad. As I sat in the car for a few hours, I considered the fact that I had now just seen most of the people I've missed most in the world, and that it was already over. I had seen you, and it was for so little time. And as we made our way back to visit Cedarville, our alma mater, I remember that as I walk around that this place is empty, and I just missed the hustle and bustle of everybody by less than a month. There's nobody here, which reminds me of the summer I spent in a melancholic daze working on the empty campus. I realized that it's not Cedarville itself that was so special to me. I didn't miss the campus, or the buildings, or the sunset. I missed the people I experienced those things with.
Kroger, I hardly know her.
I miss Ashley and Sam. I miss Corinne. I miss Esther. I miss Nick and Maria, Marissa, Mary Jo, Grace, Laurel, Hannah, Caleb, my improv group. You. I was on a hike the next day with my friend and I talked to her about the idea of moving back to Ohio, which again is a sentence that has never been said before, but I thought about it more, and I suppose it doesn't matter if I move back. If I move back to chase the experiences I had, I'll find out that I'm only returning to an empty campus. The times that have passed us by are gone, and we'll never get them back. I've been playing a lot of Balatro, which is a game of chance and playing the hand you have, and it is also a game I have a crippling addiction to, and I probably need to get help. But you can choose to discard and hope that you get a better hand, but eventually you run out of discards. Sometimes the best option is to just play the hand you have instead of grasping for a hand that you might have. Jair, I don't like my life right now as much as I did senior year, but grasping for a past that is a mere vapor will get me nowhere. I have a hand to play right now, and if I keep living in the past, I'll miss the life I have right now. And I'm reminded that you exist. I know that sounds weird, but over the past year, I've sort of forgotten that my friends still exist, kind of like how a baby has zero object permanence and forgets about something the moment it's out of sight. It was nice to see everyone, and it reminded me that my friends are still around and still living their life, just like they were when I was a more active part of it. It's nice to know that I'm not alone. Also, look, during this Memorial Day parade, there was this old car, and it was making the awooga sound. Look at it. Listen. That's so funny.